Picture this. It's the middle of the night, pitch black,
Oh.
and there's a man sitting on top of a 4-meter-high stone wall. He's wearing pajamas, he's wearing sandals, and he is just terrified. He's looking down at the pavement, trying to build up the courage to jump. Now, this isn't some scene from a prison break movie.
No. This is a monastery. And the man in the pajamas, that's Andy Puddicombe.
Who, as we are about to find out, is not your typical Buddhist monk.
Not even close. I mean, if you saw his resume without any context, you would think it was a mistake.
Not a chance. Welcome back to The Deep Dive. Today we are unpacking the Headspace Guide to Meditation and Mindfulness by Andy Puddicombe. And look, I have to be honest, right out of the gate.
Go on.
When I hear meditation, I usually have this very specific image in my head.
Incense sitting on the floor.
Yes. Incense, uncomfortable cross-legged positions, and me trying desperately to think about absolutely nothing while my nose itches and my leg falls asleep.
Right. And that is exactly the stereotype this book is trying to just completely dismantle. What's so interesting here is that Puddicombe frames meditation not as a spiritual retreat, or a religious thing.
Right.
It's a practical manual for mental training. We're looking at sources that strip away all the jargon, all the mysticism, to ask a really simple question. Can 10 minutes of, doing nothing actually change the physical structure of your brain?
But apparently the answer is yes.
Yeah.
But before we get into the neurological weeds and the techniques, we have to talk about the who.
Yes.
Because this guy's background is so critical to understanding why this approach feels so different. So he's on the wall, in his pajamas, escaping a monastery. But how did he even get there?
Well, it starts with a series of really awful personal tragedies. Andy was just a normal university student. He was studying sports science, so very physical, very scientific.
Okay.
But in a really short amount of time, he dealt with some grief that he didn't know how to process. He felt totally overwhelmed by the noise in his own head.
So he just leaves.
He quits school, drops everything, travels to Asia to become a monk. And this wasn't a gap year, this was a radical 180-degree turn.
I can only imagine the reaction from his friends and family.
Oh, they thought he was crazy.
Yeah.
His school counselor actually told him he would regret it for the rest of his life.
Wow.
And yet, looking back, he says it's the best decision he ever made. He spent years going from monastery to monastery, India, Nepal, Thailand, Burma, looking for the right teacher. But here's where the story takes a turn that it stops people in their tracks.
Right. After all this training as a monk, he doesn't just stay in the monastery.
No.
No, and this is my favorite part of the research. He transitions from being a monk to becoming a circus clown.
Literally, a circus clown.
I mean, talk about a career pivot.
Yeah.
He goes from total silence and meditation to the Moscow State Circus. He actually got a degree in circus arts in London.
And there's this hilarious detail in the book where, because he was 32 when he started his training, he had to sign a legal disclaimer.
Admitting he was old.
Right. Admitting he was more prone to injury than all the 18-year-olds flipping around him. But, if we connect this to the bigger picture, the transition isn't as random as it sounds.
How so? One is sitting still with your eyes closed.
Yeah.
The other is catching people on a trapeze.
It's all about the balance between focus and relaxation. Think about it. If you're on a tightrope and you're too tense, just rigid with fear, what happens?
They fall?
You fall. You can't adjust. But if you're too relaxed, too floppy, you also fall. You need this very specific state of relaxed concentration. You're alert, but you're fluid, and that's exactly what meditation cultivates.
Okay, that makes sense. It's that flow state that athletes talk about.
Exactly. And that's why he founded Headspace, to bring that skill to everyone, to make meditation as accessible as, say, going to the gym for your body.
Okay, so let's unpack that accessible part, because the sources make a really big distinction right up front that I think confuses a lot of people. The difference between mindfulness and meditation. I always kind of thought they were just synonyms for chilling out.
It's a really common misconception, but the distinction is crucial. So, according to the book, mindfulness is a state of being. It's the ability to be present, to be aware in the moment without judging it.
Okay, so mindfulness is the goal state.
Right. It's a skill you apply to life. Meditation, on the other hand, is the specific exercise you use to learn that skill.
So meditation is the workout, mindfulness is the fitness.
That's a great way to put it. Or, to use his analogy, think of meditation as the driving range.
Okay.
You go there to practice your swing. It's a controlled environment. No one's honking at you. There's no traffic. You're just learning how to hit the ball. Mindfulness is driving safely on the actual road.
And the reason we need the driving range is because the the road is chaotic.
Precisely. If you only try to be mindful when you're in the middle of a screaming argument, you're going to fail. You haven't built the muscle memory. You practice on the cushion so that when you're in traffic, you can stay present and calm.
Which brings us to, I think, the biggest hurdle for me and for most listeners, the empty mind myth. The idea that if I'm meditating, my brain needs to be a blank slate. And if I start thinking about my grocery list, I've failed.
This is the single biggest barrier, and I cannot stress this enough. The source material is very, very firm on this. You are not supposed to stop thinking.
Wait, really? Because that's what everyone tries to do.
And that's why they quit. Pudic says the brain secretes thoughts, just like the mouth secretes saliva. It's what the organ does. You can't just tell it to stop.
Right.
He describes this amazing aha moment where a teacher told him that trying to stop thoughts is like standing in the middle of a busy highway trying to stop cars with your hands.
They're going to get run over.
Exactly. It creates massive stress. The goal isn't to stop the traffic. It's to get out of the road.
I love that analogy. Let's dive deeper there because the book uses 3 really specific metaphors to help us visualize what we're actually doing. The first one is that traffic metaphor.
Right. So visualize this. You're sitting on the grass on the side of a busy highway. The car is passing by. Those are your thoughts. Some are flashy sports cars. Those are the exciting thoughts. Some are beat up old trucks, the worries, the fears. The goal is just to sit there on the grass and watch the cars go by.
But what we usually do is run into traffic.
That's our default mode. We see a shiny car, a happy thought, and we chase it down the street. Or we see a scary truck, an anxious thought, and we run out and try to block it. Both leave us exhausted and stressed.
So the discipline isn't emptying the road, it's staying on the grass.
Exactly. You acknowledge the car. Oh, there's a thought about money. But you don't get in the car. You just let it drive past.
That's so helpful. It takes the pressure off.
Yeah.
Okay, then there's the second metaphor, which I think is beautiful, the blue sky.
This one is all about our emotional state. We tend to identify with our emotions. I am angry. I am sad.
Right.
The blue sky metaphor suggests that the mind's natural state is calm and clear like a blue sky. But thoughts and emotions, they're just clouds.
And sometimes those clouds are pretty dark.
Sometimes they are. Sometimes they're fluffy white clouds and we feel great. Sometimes they're dark storm clouds, hurricanes of anxiety. But here's the critical part. Even during a hurricane, if you fly up through the clouds, what's there?
The blue sky. It never left.
It hasn't gone anywhere. It's just obscured. We think we have to create peace of mind. Pudcombe argues you don't create it, you uncover it. You just have to wait for the clouds to part.
That is so reassuring. It shifts the goal from fixing myself to just waiting out the weather. And the third one, this one made me laugh, the wild horse.
The wild horse is the untamed mind. If you try to pin a wild horse down and force it to be still, what happens?
It freaks out. It kicks you.
It panics. That's what happens when we sit down and force our brains to focus. Pudcombe suggests something else. Imagine giving the horse a very, very long rope and letting it run in a big field.
So it feels free.
It feels free, but it's still gently tethered. When you meditate, you give the mind space. If it wanders too far, you just gently, very gently, pull on the rope to bring it back to the breath. You don't yank it.
Okay, so we have the theory. We're on the grass, looking at the blue sky, holding a wild horse. But let's get practical. What do we actually do for those 10 minutes? The book has this technique called Take 10.
And the method is really simple. It starts with preparation. You just sit comfortably. A chair is fine. The book is very clear about that. No lotus position required. Back straight.
And then the check-in, the 5 deep breaths.
Yes. In through the nose, out through the mouth. On the 5th exhale, you gently close your eyes. Then you move to the body scan.
Which is like a photocopier scanner, right? Just moving down your body.
Exactly. You're just scanning from head to toe, checking for tension, not fixing it, just noticing, oh, my shoulders are tight. Okay, noted. It grounds you in your body.
And then focus on the breath, counting 1 to 10.
That's the driving range part. And if you lose count because you started thinking about that email you forgot to send,
which I will,
you just start back at 1. No judgment. That's the gentle pull on the rope. But there's a final step, and it's the one people always skip, the letting go at the end.
Right. For the last 20 seconds or so, you just let your mind do whatever it wants.
It's so critical. You take the rope off the horse completely, let it think, let it be quiet, whatever. It's about transitioning back to normal life without that jarring snap.
He uses this phrase I love, gentle curiosity.
It changes everything. Instead of being a strict teacher, you're like a scientist watching a bug on a leaf. You're just interested. Oh, look, the mind is worrying again. Interesting. You're just watching it.
Let's shift to emotions. because the book has some really funny but also kind of disastrous stories about this. The spicy soup incident.
Oh, this is a classic, a perfect example of what happens when we lack awareness. Andy was in the monastery kitchen. He was rushing. His mind was elsewhere, just wanting to get the job done.
And he wasn't paying attention.
Didn't look at the labels. He grabbed chili powder instead of curry powder.
Oh, no.
And not just a little bit, a massive amount. He served this nuclear soup to all the retreat guests.
Yeah.
The lesson isn't about reading labels. It's about how rushing and not being present creates chaos.
And then there's the impatient yogi. This one feels like a parable.
It's a great story. A yogi is in a cave, meditating for years to perfect the virtue of patience. A visitor comes and asks, "What are you doing?" And the yogi says, very serenely, "I am meditating on patience."
Okay.
The visitor leaves, comes back a bit later, asks the same thing. This keeps happening. And finally, the yogi just explodes. He stands up, starts throwing rocks at the visitor, screaming, "I told you I am practicing patience. Go away."
Well, the irony is just perfect.
It perfectly illustrates the trap, right? Meditation is useless if it stays in the cave. If you're peaceful for 20 minutes but then yell at the first person who interrupts you, you haven't actually learned anything.
That connects to how we deal with difficult emotions. The book talks about how we try to push away the bad stuff and cling to the good stuff.
Which is just exhausting. So he suggests this technique based on altruism. When you feel sadness, instead of fighting it, you imagine breathing it in to take it away from others who are suffering.
That sounds heavy. Why would I want to breathe in pain?
It sounds counterintuitive, but what it does psychologically is it stops the resistance. You're not fighting the feeling anymore. And when you feel joy, instead of hoarding it, you imagine breathing it out to share it.
It keeps the flow moving. So what does this all mean for someone who isn't living in a monastery? How do we integrate this? The book has an analogy about connecting the dots.
This is the key. For most of us, life is a series of widely spaced dots. Those dots are the rare moments where we're actually present.
And the long lines in between the dots.
That's autopilot. Driving to work and not remembering the trip. Eating lunch while scrolling on your phone and not tasting a thing.
So the goal is to get more dots.
The goal is to put the dots so close together, they form a straight line of continuous awareness. And you do this by turning mundane activities into mindfulness exercises.
Like brushing your teeth.
Exactly. It's something we do on total autopilot. But he says to just focus on the smell of the toothpaste, the feeling of the bristles, it turns a chore into a 2-minute meditation.
Or walking. Feeling your feet on the floor instead of being lost in your head.
Yes. And then there's the juggling. Andy learned to juggle 5 balls in circus training.
The Matrix moment.
Yes. He realized when he tried to control every single catch, frantically looking at every ball, he just dropped them. But when he relaxed his gaze and just felt the rhythm of it, time seemed to slow down.
He could see everything clearly.
That's the flow state that mindfulness creates. You're not stressing about the next moment because you are so fully in this moment that you have all the time in the world.
So we've unpacked the monk on the wall, the traffic in our heads, and the spicy soup. If we boil this all down, we're not trying to become a new person.
No, not at all. You're uncovering the blue sky that is already there. You're learning to sit on the side of the road and watch the traffic rather than getting hit by a car.
And for the skeptics listening who are thinking, this sounds nice, but where's the proof? The book does drop some science.
It does. It mentions neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to physically change. Regular meditation has been shown to thicken areas of the brain associated with happiness. It can reduce skin conditions like psoriasis, lower blood pressure. This isn't just feeling good, it's physiological change.
To wrap things up, there is one final thought from the book that I think is really going to stick with me. It's a story about a hole in the street.
This is a perfect metaphor for habit change. It's from a poem, chapter 1. I walk down the street. There's a deep hole in the sidewalk. I fall in. It isn't my fault. It takes forever to find a way out.
I think we all know that hole.
Chapter 2. I walk down the same street. There's a deep hole in the sidewalk. I pretend I don't see it. I fall in again. Still takes a long time to get out.
I walk down the same street. There's a deep hole. I see it's there. I still fall in.
Yeah.
It's a habit. But my eyes are open. I know where I am. I get out immediately.
That's the turning point. Awareness.
Chapter 4. I walk down the same street. There's a deep hole in the sidewalk. I walk around it.
I walk down a different street.
I walk down a different street. I love that. Meditation helps us see the hole, stop blaming the sidewalk, and eventually Just choose a different path entirely.
That is the power of awareness. You can't change a habit you don't see. Once you see the traffic, you can choose to step out of the road.
So here's our challenge to you. Try the committee. Take 10. Just 10 minutes. Sit, scan, count, and let go. See if you can find that blue sky.
Thanks for diving in with us.
See you next time.